Okay, sir. Can you please introduce yourself?
Okay, my name is Advocate Mafu, and I'm a campaign lawyer who's been duly appointed to be the spokesperson for Kings and Queens funeral services.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, can you confirm that you hired the heirs to Mr. Alph Lukau?
What we can say is these people that approached us under the auspices of a grieving family who came here to hire specifically a hearse for the purposes of transporting a dead person who was apparently lying in another funeral parlor. But that funeral parlor, when we were told, was that it did not have enough or adequate transport services.
Which funeral parlor is that?
They said it's Black Phoenix.
Black Phoenix?
Yeah.
Okay. In Johannesburg?
In Johannesburg, yes.
Okay.
So they said they've got a contract with Black Phoenix, okay, and that their loved one is lying there.
Okay.
So, but Black Phoenix, apparently, when they sold the store to us, they said they didn't have enough transport. Okay. That would help with ferrying the people and the body. So they decided to approach us for the purposes of just providing transport. So of which we did then contract them for that purpose, and we gave them our hearse for the purposes of transporting their loved one who was lying in another funeral parlor.
Okay. Was the hearse driven by your driver?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And what's his name, please?
I'm not privy to his details at the moment. Like I'm saying, I'm a lawyer and I don't deal with these things on a daily basis. Mine was just being appointed to handle the fracas and the nightmare that was here. But I can exclusively reveal to you that it was one of our drivers who went with the hearse. So as the story unfolded is that when they left here, instead of because one of their private cars had stickers of Black Phoenix.
Okay.
So to us, when they represented their story, they said already Black Phoenix has given them a quantum. So, but they were missing the car or the hearse, which would then ferry the body. So we then provided them with the hearse. So according to our driver, on their way to go and ferry the body, the so-called grieving parties then asked that they be taken to the chapel first.
Oh, okay. So that means they actually went to the chapel?
Yes.
Okay.
From here.
They
went to the chapel.
Which chapel is that?
It's Hallelujah Ministries.
Oh, they went to Hallelujah Ministries straight from here?
From here.
Because the story Hallelujah Ministry is given is that the hearse was actually passing their church with the body, and maybe the body now responded and began to shake, and that's very different from what you're saying, because from what you're saying that the hearse actually left here without the body.
No coffin.
No coffin?
Yes.
And went straight, now was diverted to the church?
Yes.
Okay.
When they left here, they left under the auspices of saying they were going to Black Phoenix funeral parlor.
Okay.
So our driver then informs us that on the way, they asked that they be taken to the chapel, to the church first.
Oh, okay.
So it is when they went to the church that when they got there, they asked to use our driver's phone to make calls, because apparently they ran out of airtime and data.
Okay.
So within that process, within that scourge, our driver eventually lost his phone to those people.
Are you serious? Up to now?
Up to now.
Your driver lost his phone?
His phone.
In the church?
In the church. That was taken by the very same people who came here when they say they wanted assistance to make calls.
Wow.
So even up to now, we've opened a police case of theft against them because our driver is still missing his cell phone.
Wow.
As things stand.
Wow.
That's the first portion. So today, earlier on before you came, we had a media briefing.
Okay.
Here,
okay.
We had ENCA, they were here, Southern Sun, Southern Post, they were here to conduct similar interviews.
Yeah.
And with us, owners of Black Phoenix Funeral Services were here.
Oh, okay, that's great.
Owners of Kingdom Blue Funeral Services were here. So it became apparent today that they actually, and these people are not contracted to Phoenix.
So you mean Hallelujah Ministries they were never contracted to Black Phoenix?
No.
Okay.
In fact, the car that they were using, it was their own private car.
Wow.
So they managed to have stickers of that funeral parlor, and they branded the car as if it was coming from
Black Phoenix.
From Black Phoenix Funeral Services,
Wow.
when in fact that was not the case.
Wow.
So what eventually happened was, apparently these guys, they also approached Kingdom Blue Funeral Services. That is where they purchased the coffin.
Okay.
So when they purchased the coffin at Kingdom Blue, they said they had a deceased relative who had passed on at home.
Okay.
So they wanted a coffin so that they could help ferry that deceased. And in fact, they had no manifest intentions of using any of the funeral parlors around, because they were taking that person to their rural area.
Wow.
That is how Kingdom Blue sold them the coffin, only for the purposes of carrying their loved one to the funeral area in the rural areas where everything else.
And they never mentioned that their relative died on Friday.
No. They never said anything.
They never said that
to anyone. It became apparent today when all the heads of these funeral parlors met, because they were now all implicated in this thing.
Yeah.
Then it became apparent that in fact there was a ploy or scheme for whatever advantage or outcome that was not known to the funeral services then. The only time the funeral parlors got to know was there was a social media outcry thereafter, and their names were being implicated and so on. That's how they got to know that there was a crisis. So 3 funeral parlors that were used confirmed on record that none of the 3 funeral parlors had a corpse or a body of that nature. None whatsoever. And that none of those people actually had policies with them. None whatsoever. That they approached these people separately and individually in terms of satisfying what they wanted to do. So at the end of the day, these funeral parlors found themselves implicated on an outcome that they didn't anticipate, that they were never privy to, that they even at any stage knew about.
Wow.
That is what happened on that.
Wow.
They were also alerted when they saw social media outcry that their names are about that. So none of the funeral parlors, has got those people as funeral policy holders, or that corpse itself was never
and the corpse actually was picked up from the church.
That is the story now that we get to know, because these 3 funeral parlors, if they never had the corpse amongst them, which means that corpse never existed.
Where is the corpse coming from?
Where is the corpse coming from? So
this is crazy, guys. This is crazy.
This is the deafening thing,
because the three funeral parlors that has been implicated in this case have all denied that the corpse, they had nothing to do with the corpse. Not the what are you guys called, Kings and Queens Funeral Services,
yes,
not Black Phoenix
Funeral Services,
and
Kingdom Blue Funeral Services,
and not Kingdom Blue Funeral Services. None of these guys, had nothing to do with the corpse. None of them, and they drove from this place, from Kings and Queens Funeral Services,
straight to the
church. And that's totally different from the story that we heard from the Hallelujah Ministries International, because from their side they said that the Hayats already had the corpse,
Not as far as we know.
and the story is completely changing from the side of the funeral services. So advocate, I'm going to ask you one other question. Please do tell us, do you have the identity of the relative, the supposed relative of the supposedly dead person?
Okay, because these people inherently, when they came here, they said they had a funeral policy with Black Phoenix. At that stage, they were just here to contract for the purpose of ferrying people to them. They didn't really disclose like identity documentation, because it was not necessary, because they are not policy holders with us. But it's part of what we intend to do, because already the matter has been lodged with the SAPS, We've opened a case with Chipi Police Station.
Okay.
The detectives are currently working on it to ascertain the identities of the people.
Okay.
Fortunate enough,
3,000 here.
This guy, you got some mad skills.
Of the people that came here, with that ploy, and sooner or later, I'm sure their identity will be revealed, and then we'll get to know, why they did what they did to us, and specifically why us, and what was the motive.
Yeah.
Because we all saw the outcome, but we just don't know what was the motive in all this and why we were implicated and used. Because at the end of the day, we've suffered a lot of reputational damage. We've suffered business-wise. Our image is at stake. So it's an uphill task that we're left with now to clear our identity and name so that we prove legitimacy to our valued customers and clients that we have nothing to do with the events that happened at Hallelujah Ministries. That in fact, kings and queens, for their part, they were just there because they were approached to provide transport services to help a supposedly policy holder of Black Phoenix Funerals, who it turned out that it was a lie either.
Everything was a lie coming from a church?
Yeah.
Wow.
Everything
Wow,
was
guys.
a lie.
Wow.
So it's
Wow.
It's
Wow.
surprising.
It's surprising.
It's surprising.
It's surprising.
Because it's a church. That's why probably the guards are down, because no one really suspected that there could be an issue. And remember, this was on a weekend, so really everything was more like on an emergency basis. No one could have preempted the outcome of what happened soon thereafter.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Advocate. I'm gonna go off the recording.